Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Let me see how I can balance this up. Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. All right, so y'all just signal me if you can hear me. Um, are we good? All right. So, um, this particular session, let me make it full screen. Okay. All right. So this session here is. Where do I start from now? Okay. So basically, one of our guys was like, "Okay, yo, I've been this sound is ringing in my head, and need to bring it to life and all that." So all the was um they put in they did the composition and all that. Kelechi did the auxiliary keys, and he himself is a drummer, so he played the drums, and then Jola played the bass, and of course Dave. If you all should know Dave. Dave is in the group. Dave played the guitars. So yeah. So although I did one or two things, um, I just filled in just one or two things, not much, just two things. I think two or three, just to fill in some certain places, and of course mix it. So and everything was done here, live in the studio here. So um, let me see. I should be able to see your chat. Okay. So everything was done live in the studio here, and um, so I'll start with the loops, right? So basically, we have like 40 tracks. Everything we are doing here is like 40 tracks, and um, uh, it's about 82 BPM. It's 3/8. So if I start it from the top, nah, that's not my metronome. Yeah. So you can hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's the 82 BPM 3/8. So let me start with the loop percussions. I'm just going to do like a breakdown of the elements, and then a breakdown of what I did in the mix. So it's a combination of four loops, a combination of four different loops. This, I hope you guys can hear this thing like very well. So, and then this one, and then this. All right. So, and then the fourth one. Is it four? Did I say four different loops? Five actually. And then the shaker loop. So everything together. So in the intro, like when the intro came in really big, I just felt like um something was missing, which is this tambourine hit. Yeah. So I added that. I did that. I did that from. I got that from Loop Tracks. Loop Tracks from gospel producers. So and then I added. Of course, he requested for these chimes. Like okay, add chimes on the breakdowns. So I added chimes. Check, check, check. All right. Okay. So I added chimes and oh, okay. So the full loop elements. No sound on screen is small. Yeah. How? Titles. Okay. Okay. All right. So having done this, I think he did. Then he added some keys. So basically, this is what he did. And play the piano. All right. Without. Probably this piano could be from. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's from Keyscape or so. I don't know. I don't know where he played the piano from. Then he added this e piano. All right. So then he did this one pad. But this particular one part seems to be sounding like from the top. Like it seems to be sounding from the top. The higher frequency, the higher octave. I know it sounds kind of thick, but listening to this other one, this one has more of the subs and stuff, lower energy. So I just layered everything together, Sha. At the end of the day, it works. Nothing was clashing. So then this airy pad for transitions. And then he added this guy slide pad. All right. So and then he added strings. The strings, funny how the string does not even sound as like on its own. It doesn't sound that crazy, but matter of fact, it was sounding mono. That's why I had to pan it. What project is this? The project is Toby, the drummer's project. That is the person who played the drums. He's the owner of the project. He said the sound came in like when you just you just get inspiration and you know you just want to bring it to life. So having guys around, so we just put the whole thing together yesterday. I mean, Kelechi did the whole thing. I don't know since when he started doing the auxiliary keys and all the other stuff, but we just put the whole thing together yesterday, the guitars, the bass, the drums. Yeah, Roland, I see you. I see you. So, um, the next thing he did was put in a pad, sign pad, just some places to highlight some places. hip hop, of course, and then soul synths. Okay, so now this was what everything sounded like when it came to me. I do not know. Honestly, I do not know where that Aeripad is from. I don't know where it's from, but I think the Aeripad is from. I think the Aeripad is from. What was it? Syntage. I think it's from Syntage. I think it's from Syntage because his patches are usually Syntage, some of Logic's this thing. He actually crafted some patches out of Logic, and he's still doing that anyways. So most of the sounds here are from Logic, the pads from Logic, the pads from Syntage, the airy pad, I think Syntage, but all those sign pads and the synth leads, they're actually from Logic. The E piano, I think, is from Keyscape. I think it's from Keyscape. So basically, that was what it sounded like. So you all remember that synth app I told you about from Triton? Because while I was listening to it, I just felt like a movement was missing. Like a kind of movement was missing. So I went straight to Triton and I went straight to Triton and then I recorded that straight into the sign part. Like I said, the sign part is from Logic. Yeah, so this is what the synth app sounds like. Just straight stuff. It doesn't even make sense on its own like that, but just hear what it sounds like inside. It just makes a lot of difference. Let me play from this here. So, yeah. So from there now, what's the next thing? He added leads, some synth leads, not too much, just a few. So he added this delay sign delay. I named it sign delay, but I don't know what the name is, but I think it's like a sign lead or soft lead, then a lot of delays on it. Yeah, so then he added a soft lead, which I think I threw by the right. All right, so together. You guys kill it, you. I don't know. I think one is filter lead, the other one is soft lead. These are like patches he created these patches on Logic himself. So So together now, listening to everything together, the whole auxiliary keys. So yeah, I forgot to add this effects. Let me add the effects. So just basically shimmer pad. I think the shimmer pad is from. I think the shimmer pad is from. Maybe he had sampled it before from Syntage, Syntage, Xenology, Roland. But I'm not sure. I don't know. It just sounds like it, but I'm not sure it is. So one thing with auxiliary keys, which I think his player had mentioned that thing. If you understand that thing, you really, really know what to do with auxiliary keys. So I was watching this guy's stream. I shared it on the group the other time. What's his name? Matt Isaf. He was he was mixing a particular song. This was December, one of his streams, old streams he did in December. He was mixing a song from scratch. It was about 6 hour plus, almost 7 hours. This thing stream. So he there were a lot of there were a lot of synths, like a lot of auxiliary patches. Crazy. Auxiliary on that track would be like up to, if not more than, if not up to 25, if I'm not wrong, probably 20. Crazy much. Like when you say lead synths, what am I saying 25? 25 to 30 actually, not even 20, because it was much. And the guy was just, man, that guy has ears. And the auxiliary keys guys, I think he also did part of the auxiliary on that song. I don't know, but the auxiliary keys guy went great. Like if you understand frequency, auxiliary is you basically trying to fill up the music, but um you just go to fader culture. Later you can check fader culture on YouTube. You get it, you see it. So I he if you understand frequencies, right? I tell you, it will be very, very easy knowing how to fill up your frequency spectrum. First, you're looking for empty spaces in the music, but at the same time, you're thinking musically and sonically also. You get. So how can I fill this space? How can I fill this space? But also considering what is first of all on the music already and what is likely going to come on the music. So if you're playing auxiliary keys, you're considering guitars, you're considering, of course, when you're looking at guitars, you're considering low mids, you're considering mid range also. But low mids for the most part. Low mids, mid range, yeah. Mid range, let's just say low mid and mid range. Then if you're doing yeah, so I think that's basically it. Then auxiliary keys, you can add effects, you can add whatever, you understand, but you don't want to do too much. Whatever you're doing, you're considering the guitars. So that's why sometimes on auxiliary you see things like airy pads, you see things like hisses, you see bells. Those things are occupying like the high mids, and then you see a one pad occupying the low mids. You see certain types of synth leads. You get those are just occupying some certain frequency ranges that just to fill up the frequency spectrum while also trying to fill up the music. And that is one of Hilary's biggest secrets. I'm not going to lie to you. That's one of his biggest secrets to auxiliary keys playing. Why he sounds that full. If you can make, because some of the balancing rules I applied to this in this mixing is what I learned from this 6 hours, 7 hours mix stream that I watched from ASAP's channel. Some of his balancing techniques he used in that this thing, because it was crazy. We had like how many tracks of guitar and then you still also have how many tracks of the auxiliary keys mad, and then organ again. He was able to just balance everything, pan everything, and everything was sitting well. The music was sounding full and big, you know. Even without, he didn't even do much EQing. EQing he did was just to create spaces. But when you begin to have so much things like that, one thing you need to be careful about is your low mid, especially around 250 to 350, so you don't cloud, you don't muffle up the mix, because by the time there are so many things playing and you're not taking care of that range, everything will just start sounding muddy. You get to start sounding muddy, to start sounding somehow, especially when you now add volume. So um so yeah, that's the auxiliary part of it. So I'll just go straight to the acoustic. So for the acoustic, I recorded a with an Audio Technica 803035. Abi? Okay, 802035. And I used DI. It's actually an active guitar. Is it active? Sorry, active semi acoustic. So I recorded, you can see acoustic guitar mic, guitar DI, acoustic guitar mic, acoustic guitar DI. So it sounds kind of like full. Let me open the mixer track so you see what's going on there. So yeah. So the acoustic guitar mic is this. Yo. So together with its DI, this is the DI alone. You see, it sounds. If you notice, one sounds warmer and the other sounds a bit shiny. So the DI is sounding. The DI is sounding. Yeah, that's Dave. Dave is on the group. Dave is on the group. He's on the group. Why this group? Um, the DI itself is sounding more shiny, like the high frequency is more present, and then the mic is sounding warmer. So if you listen, you see that? Now this is the DI. You see? Panning laws. I didn't. The thing is, the panning. I just followed. Panning is just basically you trying to put. There's no law to panning. There's no particular law to panning. I'm not going to lie to you. There's no particular law to panning. Yes, there's no particular law. It's just panning is just basically trying to fix things. It's just like I give you a box and say, okay, maybe you want to travel, and I give you a box, so I arrange your clothes in it. So you are now trying to arrange the clothes and fit them into the box in a way that everything will have its own space. That is just basically what panning is. So there's no law to panning. You get, so the way you may arrange that, the way you will arrange those clothes in the box may be different from how another person will arrange the clothes in the box. But at the end of the day, the two of you will actually get the same result, which is everything having its own space. Do you understand? So there's no law to panning. But for this particular acoustic guitar, I panned it to the left, 80% to the left, and 80% to the right. The first one, it's 80% to the left. The second one, 80% to the right. So if I combine the two guitars now, the two mic and DI, So the full thing sounds like this. The full thing sounds like this. So yeah, you get that vibe. It comes. It just brings life to the whole thing. So yeah, then we did electric guitars. Electric guitars. Let me play. Let me play the acoustic, the rhythm first. So this is the rhythm. So this one, electric guitars, I did 50-50 left, 50% left, 50% right. Yeah, two different takes, and the approach, the two approach are different. Two different approach. That's why it sounds full in a sense. Apart from sonically full, it sounds musically full. The approach is different. He played two different approaches. That is, I think, in terms of like inversions. Gears. The guitars he used, he actually changed the pickup. We bought a new pickup for that guitars. I think Antiquity pickup or Fisher, whatever pickup. I can't remember. I don't know which of them he changed, but I know we got two pickups. One he changed that one. So um then the guitars just, I mean, if you're able to just record, it's the normal 80 20 35. I'm not using any special, it's the wing I recorded through. I'm not using any special preamp. Once you can get clean, see, this is it, clean, good instruments, good sounding instruments, clean cables, good cables, and good. Of course, I recorded through a DI. Yeah, I recorded through a DI. So it's even advisable. A lot of producers, they just buy sound card, they don't buy a DI. Buy a DI. Buy at least two DIs or a DI, a stereo DI. It will help you a lot. Then get good cables so that when you want to record guitars or keyboards to your sound card, you get a full sound coming in. It's just the DL32, Midas DL32. Midas DL32, no. Okay, yeah, I think that's what's on the wing too. I think it's the same preamp that's on the wing. It's just basically the same thing. It's not anything big. I didn't process anything. It's dry signal, a normal dry signal. Exactly. So once there's no noise, that's the thing. Once there's no noise, it's a good place to start. You get a good mix. But the quality of the instrument too, and the quality of the performer, the musician, the quality of the performance in itself also matters. So if you notice this sounding, always record through a DI. Now, if I take out the microphones, watch and see what happens. You see how light it becomes? It becomes light. It becomes light. It becomes light. So adding the mic now gives it weight. So now, two things here. You see, it boils down to that same thing I was telling you. Sonic and musical consideration. You have to be looking at it sonically and also looking at it musically. So musically now he played two different approaches, two different inversions. The same thing with two different inversions. And it's sounding nice, big. It gives you a perception of fullness in melody. Now, in harmony rather. Now, sonically, I used a mic which is warm. Obviously, the 2035 is a warm mic. It's warm. It has this warmth around it. So I used that mic, and then I used the DI, direct DI, right? A combination of that which is the DI is shiny. The guitar in itself is shiny. I think he did some EQ on it, so from the guitar directly, and then the warm mic. So everything combined together gives it this richness, this full, sound. So just from the first note alone, bro, it's just clean, sweet. So the the electric guitar. Let me play the electric guitar. So this is what electric guitar rhythm sounds like. You see, so a combination of that, of the both of them, this is what they sound like. So you see that the guitars on their own, they already have, they're already musically, they're already sounding nice. Sonically, they're sounding nice. Like it's sweet on its own. Do you get? Now, the auxiliary keys is actually sweet on its own. So by the time you now combine it, this is just the secret to having a good sounding record. By the time you now combine it, you see how crazy it sounds. It sounds sweet. You know. Now let me add the leads. The leads on the intro, he did two. He did the normal melody, and then he did a higher melody, a higher octave rather, the same thing on a higher octave. So I threw that one to the right, and then the main one I threw to the left. So 70%. Let me play. Just the lead guitars. So you see how when the second one comes in, it just creates this fullness. So these guys are occupying the lower parts, while the lead is playing on top of them, frequency wise. Stereo is live, my bro. Stereo is live. So everything, the entire guitars, this is how they sound. Let me play it from the top. So if I combine these guitars now with the piano and auxiliary keys, here you go. So one thing to note is you need to know how to balance. See, I tell you, when you have tracks like this, properly recorded and all that, knowing how to balance these tracks, man, I tell you, it will change a lot of things. Because sometimes one of the mistakes newbies make is that they always want to make um they want everything to sound come out, like everything should sound right in your face. Everything cannot sound in your face. Everything cannot sound that. There's some things that there's some elements that will be felt. There's some elements that are there to support some other elements. You wouldn't necessarily hear them. They will just be there to you feel that this thing is there, but it's just there to um support the other things. So the what else? What else? Nothing even much at all. The bass. You see how clean. You see how clean the bass is. See how clean it is. Now, let me go to the drums. Of course, I've cleaned the drums, and in the intro, I actually because of that tambourine, when I was playing that tambourine, I had to lock the drums. I had to do a kind of a little alignment, time alignment adjustment to the drums. And of course, the performance of the drum is actually good. The performance of the drum is actually good. So you get so um so for the drums here, after mixing, I realized that and that's an issue I have with that's an issue I have. I hope this thing never cuts. Uh can you guys still hear me? Are we still live? Okay. A call was coming into my phone now. No, I can't take care of me. You type no. All right, so um uh so the I have this issue with DW kicks. It's nice, it's good, but sometimes when it gets into a dense mix, it seems like it cannot. So you have to do some kind things. You get, but what I did is after doing the normal mix, I had to add a trigger. I had to add trigger and use a sample. Not too much. I think 50% or there, but I can't remember. When I open it, I'll see now. To support the kick so it can cut through. It was not cutting through. It had the roundness, but it was not cutting through. So I had to use a trigger, a sample to trigger it so it can cut through. So um this is what the drums. I'm going to turn off all the effects. Okay, all the effects are turned off. Um so this is what the drums sound like. Let me start from the kick. I'll just do a run through very, very quick because very quick, nothing much. You can see when you have a good sounding drums, look at how many plugins I have. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On each of the toms, I just have 3 plugins. I only have three plugins. So no, for slits, you have to create like so many samples, different articulations, and then there's a plugin that comes with it with slits when you buy it. It's called Trigger Instrument Editor. So on that, this it has so many tabs. There you now put all the recorded sample, all the different velocities you recorded, and then you bounce it out to a file called TCI file. So you bounce it to that file. That's the file that you put into Slate Trigger. So it's like combining all the velocities into one file. Do you understand? But that one file is not an audio file. It's just a file that is only understood by Slate Trigger. So on the kick, I put a gate because I didn't. was that? Okay. What just happened? Amo. Where my studio one wrong go? Ah, I don't like this kind of stress. Ooh. Ah, okay. Thank God. Ah, Amo. This thing, you know, go stress me. Oh. Okay. Oh, sorry. Ah, she did why me? Ah, okay. Let me see. Aha. Okay. So I put a gate because the kick, I didn't do any silencing on the kick, any strip silencing. So normal gates, and then I put this big boy here, NLS channel, just to give it some kind of distortion, and it made the kick sound warmer a little bit. You can hear that without it. With it. So I went straight to adding an EQ, taking out somewhere around. Oh, my gen don't go off for Jesus Christ. Taking out. I think I may have to switch to. I don't know how long this is gonna go without. Let me ask him if he can. You guys just give me a few seconds. Let me ask him if he can. Yo, okay. Sorry, guys. I'm on not to one big gen I do. Okay, so can you guys hear me? All right, thank you. So basically, I just took out the 255 range. Let's hear. What questions? What are the three plugins on your drums, and how do you get that fatness? The three plugins is just my normal plugin now. I'll get there. I'll get there now. So the kick took me more because I was trying to get it to sit. You understand? To sit, to come right up to me to match the snare. Um, to cut through the mix. So even on these different plugins, just little things, you can see I already use this one for cuts, just to cut. So I cut somewhere around 255, and this is before. This is after. You can notice the clarity. It seems like it gives more space, as if the low end and the high end jumps forward a little bit more. And of course, I'm using the Audix. So Audix already has a kind of EQ curve, you know. So Audix D6 rather. Uh, so for this SSL channel, favorite guy now at the moment, favorite EQ. For my favorite EQ for boosting, I also use it to cut sharp, but usually around the low mid. That's why I use it to cut. But for highs, that's my to boost my highs. That's what I like to use. So I boosted 5k and then I boosted 2.5k. I've talked about this 2.5k in the group before. So I boosted the 2.5k. I boosted 5k 9 dB, 2.5k 12. Basically, I just use my ears. There's no rules to any number or anything. So I then I cut a little bit more of that 255 range, 250 range again. It added more clarity. So this is what it sounds like. Yeah, of course I boosted somewhere around 50 to 60 hertz. Okay, 60 hertz. 3 dB plus thereabout. And then I'm compressing. Compressing with a ratio of 4 and 4.0, 4 to 1 or 4 to 1. And then release a fast release, pretty much fast release, and then a slow attack. All right, so no gates. I'm not getting any other thing here again. So straight up to. Then at this point, it was not giving me what I wanted, so I threw in CLA 76. The CLA 76, I used Bluey. The Bluey sounds more warm, or sounds warmer than the Blackie. The Blackie is in, from what I can hear, like mid rangey. Sounds mid rangey and stuff, but the Bluey sounds more warm. So I'm using it for the kick, because it's a low end instrument. So I need that warmth out of it, So I used the Bluey, and then of course I'm using the slow attack again, and then the very fast release, just to get, so it allows the signal comes through, and then it leaves it immediately, creating this kind of punch. So this is before, and this is after. You see how it adds weight to it. It brings out the weight in the drums more, in the kick. And after that, of course, I trained this bad boy. and then got a snare, a kick sample, and I just used 32%. That's all. And this is what it sounds like without it. Without it. With it. So it adds a little more extra punch around. It adds extra punch to it, which is helping it cut through. But then it seemed as if the low end kind of lacked in my ears within the mix. So I added small low end again around that 60. I boosted 63 hertz again, 2 dB. So yeah, that was what I did. So let's go to the snare. Of course, I added this bad boy again, and I'm using the spike, and then I use REQ. REQ is a REQ and SSL channel. Once you see these two things, you know the person who's influencing me is, what's his name? I can't even remember that his name again. Jordan. That's his like favorite. That is go-to EQs. SSL channel REQ. So this is what it sounds before the EQ, and then after. So when you listen to the EQ, to the snare, see, when I say there are no rules, in fact, your ears are your greatest tools when it comes to mixing. You listen to the snare, what's in this snare? Why is this snare sounding like this? What is this snare supposed to sound like? What is in this snare that is making it not to sound like that? Or what can I add to this snare to make it sound like that? Do you understand? So you need to have something. If you don't know, you can't give what you don't have. You need to listen to more records. That's why you must listen to more records. Know what good snare sounds like, so that when you want to mix, you know what to give. So listen to this snare now like this. I can get so much 600 range. 600, 630, 600, 650, or 550, 600, 650. So that is what you're seeing here. That's the curvy thing you're seeing in the middle. That's a cut. Is a cut around the 509. Let me boost it so you hear. Oh, it's off. It's off. You can hear. That's that one. That's it right there. So I took it out by minus 18. And then this one is it's like the higher resonation of that. It's like the higher resonation of that ring. So took them off, and then at least now it's beginning to sound like a normal snare. However, this could have been avoided, if we had taken our time to do like a proper. Although he said he doesn't like the snare sounding all dry, which it doesn't work all the time, anyways. So we should have done like a proper what's it called? Taming the ring, to tame the ring of the snare. If we had done that, we wouldn't have this issue. But it will still be there, but not as much as this. But then we've done that, and so we'll go straight to SSL. So on my SSL now, mind you, this is the snare top. This is not the snare bottom. This is the snare top. You can see. So now, having done this now, the next question is, what can I do now? It's not sounding. It's beginning to sound like, but it's not really sounding like yet. So what can I do now to bring life to this snare? So that's what I did here. And now I did boosting, and I didn't cut any other things. I just only boosted. You see? So the ghost note now is beginning to make sense. So of course I used the compressor. I did a fast release, slow attack, fast release at 4 to 1. Um that's just that on the snare top. I think I replicated the same thing on snare bottom. And yes, I did not do it's just even occurring to me that I didn't check for phase. I didn't check for phase. Oh. Let me check. It's crazy. I didn't check for phase. Oh. Damn. So I mixed this thing out of phase. I actually mixed it out of phase. Guy, that's crazy. It was not in phase. It was not. Ah, okay. Let me see how it's going to sound now then. Bruh, it just sounded, it didn't sound that bad. You know, the difference is usually very minute, not like really, really much when it's out of phase. You understand? So I didn't really even, I didn't pay attention, but I believe the snare is going to sound better now, like way better, even with that tiny detail. That's the thing, as tiny as it is, man, it makes a huge difference. Let me now see. So basically, I did the same thing for the snare bottom. You can see the same EQ. I just copy and paste the same thing. You can see. Oh. I think I actually did. I did phase. I did the phase. Yeah. I'm just seeing it. I did it on my SSL EQ because as I just on and now the sound changed. So I just saw it now. I did it on my SSL EQ because I was going to say, how the heck did I not? Yeah. So now you see how it sounds now. It sounds all big. You have the two snares, the two mics. I'm using the dynamic mic on top of the snare, and I'm using a condenser mic under. Excuse me. So if this is before and this is after. So now I grouped the snare. I grouped it and I processed it as one now, like as a full snare now. So this is what I did on it. This was an automation clip I did for the ghost notes. And then let me show you guys first. Let me start from that side. If you notice, you see how it's moving. It's a plus 3 dB. All those ghost notes. It was sounding good already without this thing. I just used it to enhance it, nothing else. I just felt enhancing it was going to sound better, and it did. It sounded better enhancing. So after that, I threw in a normal SSL EQ, and then I did a cut around the 490 kilohertz. Just say 490 kilohertz. No, 490 hertz, 490 hertz, minus 4 dB, and then I think 2.5K again. Yeah, 2.5K. It's kind of like a wide Q. I did 1.5 boost just to add. You see that clarity is coming. That clarity is becoming, this snare is coming to life. On this particular place, just sort of I threw the Saturn 2 on it. Can you hear what that Saturn is doing? My goodness. It just beefs the whole thing up. And then after all those shenanigans, I did a compressor, SSL compressor, just to glue everything together. Nothing much. So that's that. This one is the reverb, the plates for the snare. Initially, I put this reverb on everything and then I used the mix knob. But later on, I now realized that if I was going to do all this processing, all this extra processing here, then I have to send them instead of using this thing, because those things, the reverb is actually, those things are going to have effect on the reverb and it's not even really sound nice. So I did a send, but I'll come back to that send. So let's just quickly go to the hi-hat. Of course, hi-hat now just smart in now. I didn't even do anything on the hi-hat. That's crazy. That is crazy. Nothing. And it sounded well. Because most of it, okay. I think I was actually using a preset. I was using presets. So let's go straight to Tom 1. Let's see. Did he even use Tom 1 on this thing? Okay, he did, though. Let's see. He didn't use it that much. But okay. So basically, this is what I did. I added the same thing just to add that warmth again to the tom. And then you can see another cut. Toms usually have this hollow sound to it, which no matter how good the tom sounds naturally, you always have to remove it. And once you remove it, if the drum sounds very good, I tell you to bring out the beauty of the drums. And this one is around 599 and 910. Almost the same thing with the snare. You can see just by pulling those two frequencies out, look at the difference. Before, after. So, and then after that, I added life to it with this. So I did boosting, I did extra cuts again, around 500 hertz minus 12 dB cut, and then 12 dB cut rather, and then 2.5K of course, and 5K. I did some compression. What you're seeing on this tom now is the same thing on all the toms. The same thing. Basically the same thing. Just difference in the low cut. The same thing. Difference in the low cut. And based on the size of the drums. Because as the bigger the size of the drums, the difference in where the mod is lying. So if you notice this tom 1, look at where the mod is, somewhere around 600, and this one tom 2 now is around 400 to 800. That other one was 600 to 900. This one now is 400 to 800. And now, what does that tell you? It tells you the harmonics somewhere 407. You cut it down. What's that hollowness I'm hearing around 400? Cutting it down it still exists somewhere around 800. So it's just harmonics. I don't know how to. That one is a little deeper if you understand what I'm trying to say. And then boost 2.5k, 5k. Basically the same thing. The same thing I did on all the toms, just different in low cuts. The low cuts keeps going down now because the drum is getting bigger. And then this one somewhere around 400, the same thing again. Uh, Tom 4, the same thing. Everything is the same thing. So you can see it's just three plugins for my drums. Just three plugins for the toms. Nothing much at all. The same thing. The same thing. Same thing. And then there's a tom group. So on that tom group now, I shipped the toms to how I want it. For instance, now, after you've made sure that, because when you're mixing drums, you want to make sure that all your high end and low end, all your high end, especially like those bites, they are in sync. They're on the same level. Do you understand? So after doing that, I still feel like, okay, generally I want to increase the high end of the tones a little bit more generally. So I grouped them in a bus, and then I did a high boost, a boost at 2.5k, 3 dB, 5k also 2 dBs, and then I did a kind of cut around 580 to 600, and then I did a low shelf from 200. You know, all the toms, their body and tone actually lie from 200 down. For 8 inch, it starts from somewhere around 200. So that 200 down, I just did like a high cut, a high boost, rather, a 3 dB boost from 200 of a low shelf. All right, so if that makes sense. So this is what everything sounds like, all the toms. You can see the bleeds still coming in. The bleeds still coming in, but in the context of the music, you won't hear it. You won't hear those bleeds as much. I think it's only one place that the thing was a little bit obvious. What's responsible for the fatness? The drum is sounding good. It's the drums. It's the drum itself. It's the tone of the drums. For instance, it's like saying if I'm mixing the Tama drums now, like a good Tama drums, and you're asking what's responsible for the punch, it's the drums. Tama, I've noticed Tama drums are more punchy. DW drums are fat. Tama is punchy. DW drums are fat and resonating. Like when you see resonate, when you're looking for resonance, doom doom, damn. DW drums, nah, nah, crazy with that. So the drum has its own plate, as you can see here, its own drum plates. So I'll move to the overheads. I didn't do much on the overheads. Of course, I threw in the same stuff just to get this warmth, and then you can see the cuts I did because I wanted the cymbals I wanted it to be more of the cymbals, like the cymbals to be more present in the overheads, and I had to cut out a lot of mods, and then of course arrow compressor. I did a fast attack kind of, and then a medium to fast release. You obviously can, but what I'm trying to let you understand is that the instrument itself has to sound good, and you have to capture it towards what you want it to sound like. So it's not, that's a mistake many people make. Many people make the mistake of depending on only the drums, only the final stage, which is mixing. They don't pay attention to the initial stage of recording. You understand? You don't pay attention to the recording. You don't pay attention to the quality of instrument. You don't pay attention to the quality of the recording. You just focus on the mixing. And the mixing is just a part of the whole thing. So it's almost like 50-50, because the mix is just there to enhance what you've given to what you've recorded. So excuse me. Uh, so yeah. So now this is where for me where most of my magic comes in. So I'm just going to turn on. I'm going to turn on this the effects, the reverbs. No, before I turn on reverbs, I'm going to turn on um mm, I'm going to start from the drum, the 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 parallel compress. I did a parallel compression for the drums, but how I did the parallel compression is before I used to send it as an effect, but now I stopped. So I created an effects channel. So this is how you do it. You come here, you create an effects channel, add effects channel, and then you send, instead of sending straight to just this effect, if I used to send straight to the effect and then use the send fader to do what I want to do, but now I don't do that anymore. I create the effects channel like this, use almost like a boss, and then I bring it down all the way. I load the effect on it that I want to load on it, and I start pulling this one up. So for this guy, what I did, I sent only the kick, the toms, and the snare. The kick, snare, and the tom to the parallel compression bus. So it's like sending those three signals to a bus and then use a compressor to squash it. But the difference is that the kind of the energy it gives to me is determined by the attack and the release. You understand? So after doing a drum, first off, I did a drum group that is the entire drums on one. I bust the entire drums, a drum group, and I put a compressor on it. What's that? You can see. So now I sent all these niggas. You can see drum. If you look at this place, drum pick comp, drum pick comp, drum pick comp, drum pick comp. So drum parallel compression. That's what it stands for. So the kick, the snare group, and the tom group all go into drum pick comp, except for the overheads, or else it will mess it up. Yeah. Except for the overheads, or else it will mess it up. So now let me play this. Why is this snare not coming? All right, so now let me add the drum parallel compression, which is this. Look at the drum parallel compression. It's on. It's turned off now. I'm going to turn it on, and you can see where the threshold is. The threshold is around -9. I'm squashing the life out of it, and I'm using a pretty much medium, a medium attack to a medium release time also. So medium to slow attack, and then a medium release. So, and I'm squashing the life out of it. I'm using the ratio of 10, the highest ratio on the compressor, squashing the life out of it, and then I will just blend it into the original signal. So it's going to, what it's going to do is going to add punch. It's going to add punch to it. So listen to how punchy the drum will turn out to be now. Hold on. All right. Okay. Did you hear that? So before, after, without it. This is without. Without. With. You see how the difference it makes. Now there's this berserk distortion thing. I just tried it, and I mean it worked. I just tried it. So there's this clipped character it has. I use the clip character, and I do the same processing, a parallel processing. So it's a drum saturation. So I saturate the kick, the snare, and the toms. I tell you the truth, what this thing does on this particular toms or on the toms is crazy. It just adds this, makes it sound big. I wouldn't want to add too much, but listen to before and after. Did you hear that? Before, after. Sorry, let me play. I need to play from somewhere. This place is not. So look at this. Before. After. You heard that. So basically that's the two major things I use for my drums to like really, really make it sound, one for punch, one for fatness. So the drum saturation is for fatness, the drum the drum parallel compression is for punch, extra punch. It's called Barzek. Barzek. I can't pronounce it. It sounds Barzek distortion. Barzek distortion. So I just open it. I don't have any particular preset. I just open it and then I select the clipped character. That's what I use. So now, after doing all of this, I now bust the entire drums. So the entire drums, and that is the drum group. That is the drum group now. The drum parallel compression, and the drum saturation. I grouped and I bust everything to one bus, which is this. And then I threw an EQ on it. On that EQ, I boosted the low end a little bit, just a little bit, and then I used the compressor. I did this bussing for the main purpose of compressing, but later on I needed more low end. That's why I added that low end. I added the EQ. So you can see all the compression that is going on is little compression. Instead of using one compressor to do everything, you just kill everything. So using one compressor to do using multiple compressors to more like compressing in series. So it's serial compression. You see how punchy now the drum is sounding, filled with life. So now let me add the reverb. So that's that about that. So for the percussion loops, I just put EQ just to cover, just to ensure that some things are actually, not occupying where they're not supposed to be occupying. So I did a boss EQ on the percussion loop. I bossed them, and then I did a boss EQ, and I did a little bit of high shelf. I boosted the high shelf around 9K, 9.4K, 1 dB, and then a compressor just to keep everything in check. So you see, so now I also put a plate for it, a plate reverb, and this is what it sounds like. Let me So if I turn it off, you see how dry it sounds. Oh, sorry. The reverb was off. So let's go again. My God. See how it just gives life to it. Then the drum sound. So basically that's what's going on there. So for the bass, let me rush down to the bass. For the bass, I'm using the parallel compression for the bass also. I used an arrow comp. Let me start from that. Okay, let me just start from what I did on the bass. So I did an EQ on it, and then I took off this 149 range. 149 range it was giving me that this boxy feel. So if I take it up now, yeah. So I had to take that out just to add a little more clarity. And then I went to SSL channel. Then I did a boost around the 5K. I did a boost around 1.5K, 1.8K wide boost. And that's just it. Just to add a little bit of definition to voice play, just like how you add high end on your toms when you add the 5K, 2.5K, just to create that definition, just to give it more presence. That's what I did with that boost there. So, and then I did a fast attack compression. I did a fast attack medium release, 7:1 ratio, and then smash it all the way up because it's bass anyways. So the whole idea is trying to, and one thing with this SSL channel compressor is when you're compressing, it's giving, as you're increasing the threshold to smash it, to be smashing more, like it to be smashing it to be compressing more, and at the same time increasing the volume, so the gain is automatic. Do you understand? So smash it all the way up. If I bring it down now, see how the volume comes down. Yeah, so as it's compressing, it's doing an automatic gain. It's doing like an auto gain for it. So you can see I'm doing like minus 10 dB 10 dB attenuation. So of course, after doing that, I still threw another arrow compressor on it again. I threw arrow compressor on it. I did a fast attack and a medium release, medium to slow release. Anyways, medium to slow release. Of course, 7 dB attenuation again, 7:1 ratio. 7:1 ratio. We're also still pushing it down a little bit more, and then now boosting 3.9, 4 dBs of gain, output gain, makeup gain. Notice one thing, as I'm doing this thing, it's still staying around the same volume. That's because when I'm mixing, I'm always checking it. When I'm compressing, I compress, and then I do a makeup gain. I check the before and after to try to make sure that it's still around the same level, so my ears are not deceiving me. Do you understand? So you just notice that the low end comes up more because it has been compressed now, and then volume has been added. So excuse me. So I did a C4 compression, multi-band compression, which is taming somewhere around 76 hertz and below. and then also the low mids to control it, because I noticed it was just doing anyhow at some point. So the essence of this multi-band compression is to make the bass, is to keep the low end in check. So the low end is not all over the place, because in your mix, if your low end is all over the place, it's just going to cause a lot of rumble. It won't. There will be no definition. You understand? There will be no definition, and it will affect your mastering also. It will affect your mastering big time. It will affect. You won't be able to gain. You won't be able to add enough volume when it gets to mastering stage, because the rumbles low end has a lot of energy and it takes a lot of space when it comes to volume. So it will not give you that space to give enough volume. So you want to be able to tame your low end, it to still be there, but controlled. So controlled low end is very important. You can see it comes right in your face, and then with it just tames it. And then I did a true Saturn on it. Notice the high end becomes clearer, like the mid range becomes clearer. That's the essence of this Saturn. So when I play it on iPhone, at least when it's doing all those riffs around those top, all those 1K-ish, maybe like his second, third strings, you can still hear, what's going on there on small speakers. Before, notice these changes are like really, really subtle changes. They are not big. So I throw a CLA2A on it. 2A obviously has, because it's bass, and I need a kind of slow release and fast attack. So, which is the kind of compression I've been doing on this bass. So I did that here, but not too much. Now, if you notice something, the bass now, the low end is more upfront, but not in your face. Like, it's not all over the place. It's now it's controlled. We've controlled it, but the 2A now is bringing out that low end. Like, yes, this is low end, and then at the same time, it's also taming any extra peaks. You get it? That makes sense. It's taming any extra peaks that's coming. This is before. Now this is after. Notice the sustain. That's why I'm using a slow release. Medium to slow release. Notice the sustain now as I put this 2A, because 2A has a fast attack and a slow release. So as I put this 2A, notice the sustain becomes more obvious. The sustain is more consistent. And then a bass rider. This bass rider is just so you can see how many dBs. 1.4 to the top, 1.4 below, 1.6 below. It's just to keep him a little bit more consistent. You understand? Just to keep the bass a little bit more consistent, because your bass has to be consistent. Has to be. That's the essence of this guy. Show it. No way. Guys, apologies. My Studio One just, my goodness, what's causing this thing? Man. Bro, and this Studio One takes some freaking time to load. May this Studio One no go whine me, oh. No way. Oh, damn. So this is most likely going to take like 5 to 10 minutes. No, it's open. It's come open. It's open. It's come up, but it's just going to take maybe like 5 to 10 minutes to come through. This is where the issue is. This switching to audio device and gets here, it starts spinning. I don't know why. Seems like I'm not capturing all of my screen totally. REQ. REQ is the name. REQ and what's the other guy? SSL channel. REQ and SSL channel. So, while we're waiting for this guy, you guys can ask any questions. I believe there are thousands of questions. So you asked, just in that question again. You're asking what is phase? Phase is if an audio signal is in phase, it's just basically like, how do I explain? Okay, so the snare and the two snare mics, snare top and snare bottom, they're actually capturing the same instruments but from different places. All right, so it's going to take, and there's some kind of space in between them. You get, there's some kind of space in between them, so it's going to take a certain level of, it's going to take some time. For instance, the time the snare top is going to take to get to the system is different from the time it's going to take to get to. It's different from the time it's going to take to get to. I use REQ6. REQ1, the number is just telling you the number of bands it has. The number of bands. So that six has 6 bands. It's a 6 band EQ. So the REQ one only has 1 band, which is, I guess, low cut. So yeah. So phase. So when the time the snare takes to get to the mixer is different from the time the snare top gets to the mixer is different from the time the snare top gets to the snare bottom gets to the mixer. So sometimes when it gets to the mixer, depending on the positioning, sometimes it could cancel each other. Do you understand? So I will have to use a I'll have to use something to, like, let me see. I have to use something to show you this example. Is there something I can draw on here? I can't draw on this. I can't draw on it. It's like the time it takes if they get to the mixer at the same time, they may cancel themselves. So when you say phase cancellation, you say this thing is canceling the top, is canceling the bottom. So it's like, like a tire. Let's say, okay, imagine a circle now. Imagine circle, right? Imagine circle. And this, you carry another circle of the exact same size and put on that circle. What is going to happen? If you draw a circle on the floor and you carry the exact same circle, exact same size of circle, and you put on it, what is going to happen to it? One is definitely going to overshadow the other. Do you understand? There's going to be issues. But the whole idea now is that we want the snare top and the snare bottom, that is the two signals, we want them to work cohesively. Exactly. So phase cancellation. So it's going to cancel it. That's the thing. So that's it to cancel. So what we want is that the two signals should what the heck? I have to restart this thing. It's anytime this thing happens, it tells me it's trigger two, and I don't want to believe that it's trigger two that is causing this thing. Okay, so yeah, so the whole idea is we want the two signals to work together. That's the snare top and the snare bottom. We want the two signals to work cohesively and not separately. We don't want them to work separately. We want them to work together. You get? So that's where our polarity button comes in. So when we put the polarity button, it will correct the phase alignment so that the two of them can work cohesively without cancelling themselves. Oh man, I don't know where the issue is coming from. I don't want to believe it's from Studio One. And snare and guitar, it can happen on any signal, provided it's coming from the same source. Do you understand? Two signals coming from the same source. So if I mic up a guitar now, if I mic a guitar that is like let's say I have this cabinet I want to mic, and then I use two mics to mic the cabinet. left and right, one cabinet. If I Once it gets to the mixer, I have to check the phase alignment. How you identify it is when you have two signals coming from the same place, you have to check it. So you use your phase polarity to check it. You use your phase polarity to check it, like like I did. You see the way I did it that time. I had to when I thought I didn't use it, I didn't check it initially. I had to throw in a plug-in real quick and then check it. You know, tap, invert it, turn it off, invert it, turn it off, invert it, turn it off, just to check the signal and see how you now get to know when it's in phase, when it's aligned, is that you get to hear more um more boosts in like the body. Usually what phase cancellation does, it to cancel the body of the signal. The body of the signal is to cancel it. So for instance, the snare now, the snare was sounding, how I knew it was not in phase is that when I checked it, when I put the plug in on it and I inverted it, turned it off, immediately when I turned it off, it now started sounding thin. It was not sounding like, full. You get, that's how I knew that it was not in phase. So I had to turn it on and leave it that way. Because turning it on now, I could hear more of the body, more of the low end of the snare, more of the body of the snare. So usually when it's in phase, it will the body will be, will be full. Like the signal will be full. What could be wrong with this thing? Why? Why? Oh well. Yeah. God did. So yeah, so now let me now add the so this is the bass now. So let me add the parallel compressor. Let me add the parallel compression to the bass, and here's what it sounds like. Before, after. The bass, if you notice, the bass sounds more punchy in a sense. It sounds more punchy, and should I use the word aggressive? Kind of. Hold on. All the drum groups, it's only one complete drum groups that I have. It's just when I group, it's just to do a general processing. Maybe most especially compression. That's what I do when I group. Most especially compression. So having done that now, for the keys, let me mute everything and stuff. For the keys, I just did a low cut, and then I boosted a little bit of the high mids just to give it more just to make it cut through a little bit more in the mix. And I did a low cut also, a high cut also around 8K. Of course, just to keep it in check. Wherever it's not needed, just take it out. And then the essence of this multi-band is just to tame it, is to tame the low mids. Now, around this area now, we are mixing the keys. You see me doing a lot of what I was explaining in the beginning of the stream, where I said taming the low mids. You understand? When you have so many this thing like this that has a lot of low mids, you have to now begin to tame each of them, or else they will all start sounding, at the end of the day, they'll start sounding muddy altogether. So the next one, which is the A piano, you see what I'm doing here around this place. I just did a cut and then tame it. The same thing I did on the keys, if you notice, somewhere around 500 in the mids in itself. The pad, the same thing. You can see the low mids. Scooping, not just scooping, I'm listening for muddiness in it, and then I just tame it a little bit. And then the warm low pad, you can see I had to cut all the way to 92 hertz to give space, to give room for the bass to do its thing there. I actually try to make sure that nothing clashes with the bass. So 92. So you can see around the low mids here also, I'm also still taming. And every pads, the same thing. If you see, the same thing. And also I have this Vala shimmer on the airy pads. The Vala shimmer is just adding a little bit of shimmer on the high end, on the airy pad. So for this slide pad too, you can see the same thing I'm doing here. Taming the low mids, low cuts, taming the low mids. I'm not doing much at all. You get, I'm just trying to create space because the sounds in themselves are actually good. So the same thing here, low cuts and then tame the low mids. Same thing on this guy, strings. The same thing on sine pad. The same thing on, okay, the J-pop, I didn't do any low mid. Of course, it's a high mid instrument, so I just did a high cut and a low cut just to keep it in check. The synths, source synths, the same thing, taming the lows, the muddy parts of the instrument. That is what I'm taming. And then the progressive trance too, the same thing, which is the synth app. Same thing I did on the synth lead. All the synth leads, you can see all of them, the same thing. So that same process I did on the guitars too. So you listen to, so everything now. Let me mute. I'm going to turn off, these are all the auxiliary keys. I'm going to turn off all the effects, all the effects on it, like all the EQs and everything on it, and then turn it on. So you see the difference, you see how clear it becomes. So this is without anything on it. Now this is with. You see, it's not jarring anymore. Like before, it was somehow, it was not clear. It was not even controlled. It was all over the place. One more time, let me do it again, before and after. Before. After. So I applied this same process to the guitars. Taming, but what I did on the guitars is, first I just did a Pro Q3. I used the Pro Q3 from Fab Computer because I wanted the cuts to be much more natural. I wanted it to sound natural. So I did my low cuts up to 287 on the lead guitar because it's lead. So I don't see what's going to do. I just use my ears. What is the lowest note that this guitar or this instrument is playing on this record? Wherever I see it stop, that is where I stop my cuts. Do you understand? That's where I stop my cuts. So on this 2K ish, 2K, 2.7K, 2.2K, 2.7K ish, those areas were sounding harsh. There's this harshness that is always around that 2 to 3K on guitars. No matter how clean this thing is, the effect is coming in. So I did a minus 6 dB cut on both, but dynamically. So it's not like there, it's dynamically happening. So as the signal is coming, it's cutting. Look at it. So let me take it out. You see the difference. You can hear this under the distance. That's because all these places where I've cut, this is where it's leaving. Those things are not needed. So you see how clean it is now. If I turn off the low cuts, so that's then the low high end. All of these places are not needed. You can see all these things here. These small things, they're not needed. So cutting it even adds more clarity. And you see how this thing is cutting. It's not cutting like I didn't cut it like, okay, let me just cut it and leave it here. I cut it. I use dynamic processing for it so that, because there's some places where this particular frequency is not much. There's some notes you will play that it won't be much. So I don't want this place to be out because it's actually also good. It's not like it's totally bad, but the essence of the dynamic processing is so that anywhere that when it becomes too much, if he plays any notes that it becomes too much, it will duck it down. Look at this one. Dr. Afana. So this range that I'm cutting here, right? I tell you, if you don't cut it, it helps. It helps. If it helps to cut it, because by the time when you get to mastering, you have to increase the volume. You've tamed all those jarring frequencies. So it helps. It will also even give you room to increase your volume, because these plugins too, they have ears, they're listening. You get they're built in that way. So when those signals start piercing, it will start sensing the signal to be too loud when you're supposed to have enough space to push it more. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, if that makes sense. So that's why I did like this cut, so that the guitar can sound very pleasant. You may not really hear what I'm saying here, but let's go to the second lead. That's where it will be very, very obvious. So the next thing I use is CLA3A. CLA3A is actually good for compressing guitars. So of course I used it just to tame it. Usually distortion effects come with they are usually compressed already. So, but just to tame it, because obviously the guitarist is dynamic. So now listen to it now. It sounds more controlled, and that is what we are looking for, control. So now let's come to the same processing is what I used here. Same processing, but the difference is I didn't do anything much on this low part because it's playing a higher octave. even after doing it, even after doing that, I can still hear that frequency range. Just that I don't want to cut too much. Even after doing this, I can still hear it. Now let me turn it off. Can you hear it? It plays some notes that is even jarring to the ears. Like listening to it, I don't know if you can hear. If you're using a good headphones or earpiece, you should be able to hear it. This is with the EQ activated. Now without it, that listen to that harsh. Now I can hear something else there. Let's see. Right there. Woo! So what I'll do is I want it to be dynamic, so I'll do -6 dB cut. Whoa, how many is this? Let's go down a little bit more. Oh, this is crazy. Now, the reason why I'm cutting this tiny and not too much is because if you cut it wide at this point, it will be very obvious. You're going to cue the tone, to change the tone. I'm hearing. Hold on. Ooh, there you go. Yeah, it's better now. If I take it out, before and after, after. So with this subtle difference, you should be able to increase your volume. So with compressor now, so basically just to keep it in check, just to keep it the same process. Now for the rhythm guitars, notice what I did here. The same thing, cut, and then you can see I'm taming this low mids a lot. Without it, you see? You hear that mod. It will not make sense. Why we've taken that? That's the body of it. Yes, that's the body. But there are some places where it plays and it sings too much. So we take that out, and when we put our compressor, don't forget the compressor is taming between the highest and the lowest. That is between the loudest part and the quietest part. So at the end of the day, you have to do a makeup gain, and then everything comes up a little bit more. So by the time you do that, imagine you don't cut out that and you compress. So you have more low mids all over the place that is not even controlled. So it's just going to cause muddiness all over the place. But now that we've cut that, here, this is before, after. Very subtle. But the compressor keeps it in check. It's the same process I did here, nothing much, the same exact same thing. Copy and paste. It just depends on preference. For me, Fab Filter Pro Q3 can actually do. You can see the kind of cuts I can do on it. You see, I can do extreme cuts. I can go up to brick wall, but on Studio One Pro Q3 I can't do that. I can't go that much. The curve is too much. It's way too much for me. I don't just like it. I just prefer to use this one. So now I grouped all the entire guitar, including the lead guitars and everything, and then I bust them into this one channel, and I have this guy on it. It's not doing anything. It's just there. So this dude is not even doing nothing. Whoa! I didn't even check this. Let me just do an extra cut. So somewhere around 8 to 9K. And then okay, I think the thing that really worked here is the compressor. Yo, no, not the compressor. Some things have changed. I hope they've not changed too for the other. That's or that thing that happened that time. I hope they've not changed. Okay, thank God. Okay. So you can see the compressor is just taming it just a little bit. Just a little bit, not much. At some point, I was making my decisions in the context of the mix. At some point, I soloed. So what I do, I just solo to hear sonically for what I want the thing to sound like. So I then begin to fit it into the mix. So for things like compressor, I have to compress within, like boss compressors, I have to compress within the mix. You have to compress within the mix. Basically, what it means is that whatever final decisions you're making, you're going to make it within the mix. You can't make final decisions in solo mode. No. So this same technique I applied to mixing this acoustic guitar, rhythm electric guitar, is the same thing I use in mixing the acoustic guitar. The exact same thing, nothing different, nothing at all. Nothing is different at all. So you can see I just did a cut, and then you can see tame the low mids, and then CLA3A, boom. The same thing. What you are seeing here is what is on the rest. Copy and paste. That's what I did. And then I did a boss. So I boosted around the 5K ish. I did a low cut for the entire thing. I did a 5K ish thing. Boosts. And then I did CLA2A. Just to tame it a little bit more. And then a reverb plate, but on it directly. And then tame the low end a little bit. Pre-delay of 3.6, mix of 24.3. Just to give it a sense of space. So basically, all these effects, just low cut, blah blah, just to tame them. What's making the guitar so in your face? It's the compressor now. It's the compressor. So now throwing a viola into it. Well, it's not like in your face like that. This guitar is not in your face. It's just that you're listening to it in solo mode. That's why you think so. It's not in your face like that. It's because it's in solo mode. That's why I think it's in your face. But it's just standing out, like it's just there. You get. So with the viola plate now, look at you see how the reverb pushes it back a little bit. So if we do a combination of where's the picks? So you get. So the beautiful drums. Beautiful sounding drums. Now, if you see, look at this bass signal. This is why I said your bass has to be, it just has to be consistent. Look at this signal and look at this place where he does boo and then where the note hits. The note seems to be louder than the slide. If the bass was not consistent, yeah, there's no way that place will not just be distracting, to sound distracting. Yeah, you hear that sustain. That's what the Shima is doing on that air pad. What else? Okay. So, yeah, you can see, okay, this place, I was going to talk about this place. So you see the snare. You can see the snare, these ghost notes. You can see the ghost notes. I'm coming. This, see the ghost note +3, +3, +3 on these places where the ghost notes are. The ghost notes, ghost notes, ghost notes. Okay. Let me do that. So here is You can see that. So it's like it adds this kind of shimmery kind of reverb, if that makes sense. Without it, now with it. You see? So that's what it does. But it has to be controlled, though. It has to be controlled. So this is the mix. See how it's sounding great with the mix. So let me just quickly do a run through with the mastering. What I did on the master bus. So I did a cut around 30 hertz. Did a 48 dB power cliff cut. Notice this. Notice the low end. Notice the volume. That the low end is not all loud. It's not all that loud, like all the way loud. Then I threw this guy, British Channel. British Channel is a magic. I don't know what, but it's just a magic. Now listen to the difference. I didn't do anything. Like, this is British Channel. Once you open British Channel, this is how it will sound. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any tweaking. I did nothing. This is how it will sound. The first day I tried it, crazy. I don't even bother myself to touch anything. It just brings this. It will just open up the mix, and I love it. I don't know what it did on it. I don't know the kind of coding. I don't know what they did on it, but once you just put it on the mix, it will just open up the mix. Sounds nice, especially the high end, smooth high end. Notice. I don't know how to explain, but the low end, everything just comes to life. As good as it was sounding, throwing this on the mix just makes everything come to life. Notice the acoustic guitar. The acoustic guitar's the strum becomes more obvious. It becomes more. And of course, I noticed my low end was at the point going crazy, so I threw in this guy just to tame the high end, because that British Channel opened the high end. Right, he added something that I love to the high end and the low end, but then I still needed it to be controlled. It made it start going all over the place. So then I needed it to be controlled. So I threw in a multi-band compressor on it. It sounds as if I took out of it, right? Just wait. So I did a bus compression with T-Rex bus compressor. So more like a slow attack, a fast release. Everything is subtle. You can see it's like -1 dB. Very, very subtle. And then I added this guy. Now this is where magic comes from. The low end magic in a way. What's the name? T-Rex 1 from T-Rex Suite. So did you hear that? Listen for the difference. Listen. This is before. This is before. After now. that low end that seemed like it was gone, the low end now is back, but it is controlled. Just the same technique I used in mixing the bass guitar is the same thing here. The low end now that seemed like it was not there, as if we took it out, is back now. This guy is giving us back, but in a more controlled manner. So now, after doing that, I introduced Ozone 9 Imager, and I used the Ozone 9 Imager to do some kind of spreading. So somewhere from around 1K upward, I did a little bit of widening. Shush. What the heck is going on? Bro, this is crazy. No, man. This is not making any sense now. Wait, is it Trigatu that is causing this thing for real? Okay. I don't want to block Trigatu because I'm using it in the song in the install T-Rax. Yeah, T-Rax is matter of fact, I didn't like T-Rax, so I was not using T-Rax before. I was not using T-Rax. I just had it. What even made me start using it? I think it was Micah. I think I saw him do some things with that I saw him do some things with that T-Rax suit. But when I saw it doing that stuff with it, I was like, I loved it. No, it was not Micah. It was this guy called HCN. If you know him, HCN on YouTube. He's an Afrobeat producer. He's the one that made me start using it because when I saw the way he was using it, guy was mad. So I was like, bro, I think I need to start using this stuff. So I tried it and it was nice. I loved it. And then I remember there was one video I watched from Mix with the Masters. There's one engineer, like that one mastering engineer. He used this British channel. I remember him mentioning that thing, that it brings this kind of it opens up because I saw the British channel in the T-Rax bundle. I'm like, wait, this is not what that guy was talking about. Okay, let me just try it. And immediately I opened it, bro. The mix just opened up. And that was exactly the thing he was talking about. Then I didn't really have ears as much, my ears are not as good as it is now. But I remember he was talking about how it opens up the mix. So when I threw it on the mix, bro, everything just opened up like yo. I started looking at it like, wait, this, like, everything was flat. No, there was no boost anywhere, nothing. Everything was flat. I don't know the algorithm, how they wrote the algorithm, bro. But I know they wrote the algorithm after the actual hardware, and bro, that hardware is mad. If the software can be this crazy, then that hardware has to be extra. It has to be something else. Because I actually intend to go back to watch that tutorial, that mastering tutorial, so I can get to hear what the guy was talking about. That's the thing. That's what I was telling you that last night. That a lot of these Waves plugin, if I have to buy them, if I have to buy the Waves, I would rather buy what I use, like the CLA bundle, the SSL bundle, and the Renaissance bundle, and maybe what else? Yes, now just that. Just those ones. I'd rather just buy those ones. Those are the ones that the things I know I use on the Waves, and maybe that Brazek distortion. These are the things I know I use from Waves like very well. Every other thing, na noise. At the moment, though, every other thing, na noise. And maybe probably Waves tune. I can just buy Waves tune. Those are the things that if I want to get Waves, I can get from Waves. But maybe no. Boy, oh boy. Omo, what could be the cause of this thing? This thing is crazy because if there's another plugin on Waves called ATG Mastering. That plugin is also good. Like when you open it on the master bus, it sounds nice, but it looks like it feels like the compression is too much. That's because you're trying to explore every plugin. That's the reason why it's like that. You're trying to explore the plugins, but when you start using certain plugins and you're used to them, like you don't need 1,000 things to even make your mix sound nice. 1,000 third party plugins. You don't need the entire Waves bundle. For goodness sake, the entire Waves bundle is like $4,000. It's like $4,000. You don't need the entire Waves bundle. You just need the few things you know that you use most of the time. That's what you need. And maybe Fab Filter, Valhalla. Once I have the plugins I have here are just Valhalla, Fab Filter, Ozone, and even that Ozone, I don't use everything there. I use what I know. I use is the imager. I use the imager a lot. I use the limiter. I use the multi-band, but the imager is what I use a lot, like a lot. So I just love when it comes to imagers. I feel Ozone's imager is the best at the moment. Though I never know about anyone, but at the moment it's like this as of now. You can use the Audio Technica MX50. Oh, it took us back. Okay, fine. So the imager now, like I said, from 1K upward, I'm actually doing like a widening. I'm doing a widening on the 1K upward, and then from 75 hertz downwards, I'm doing a an inverse widening that's mono, like I'm monoing the sound, if that makes sense. I'm monoing the sound. So like minus 31.6. The the low end, spreading the high end, the mid range, high upper mids, and then monoing the the low end, that's the subs from the 75 hertz downwards. It also keeps it in check, like it also keeps it controlled too. So now you can see this is the limiter, this is the vintage limiter. This is where the magic is happening. So I may have to bring down this volume a little bit if I turn this on. So you see, if you notice some things that seemed like they were low in the mix, they are now coming up. So that's why you must always, when you're mixing, don't mix too loud. Like when I was mixing this, I didn't mix loud. I didn't mix loud at all. So anything that seems too loud, you don't mix too low and you don't mix too loud. Do you understand? So sometimes you just push the volume up to check and say, okay, some of those subtle things, how will this sound if this thing becomes loud? Then you take it back to where it was. So it helps you, because if you're just mixing loud, 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 notice when you're listening to a music, if you want to hear the quiet part of that music, the quiet elements in the song, reduce the volume. You hear the quiet elements in that song. If you want to hear the quiet elements in the song, reduce the volume. You hear the quiet elements. Because if it's loud, all those other mid-range instruments will just be more present to your ears. So your brain will focus on them more. It's going to be hard to pick up those quieter ones. But if you take the volume down, you notice that you begin to hear those quieter elements in the mix. So after using this guy, I put in L2 just to be safe, just to be on the safe side. So I did another limiting. I didn't add any gain. No. It's just there. This particular limiter is just here. Okay, see what image? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, image just press the sound. So now, if we look at our meter, let's look at our meter, LUFS, short term. Short term is what you use. So where are we hitting? Let's see where we're hitting. We are hitting -9. That is loud enough. We're hitting -9. That is loud enough to go on any platform. Any platform. -9. So -9 LUFS. And on our limiter, you can see we are just hitting, the attenuation is giving us just -1.2, which is not obvious at all. So I'm just going to play from this top down. So by the way, the drumless tracks of this track will or should be up already by now. Should be on Instagram. Go to Toby's page. You see it. You see the stuff should be on his bio. The drumless track, the bassless track. They are all available at the moment. So let's play from the top now. Yeah, so talking about automations, you can see automations I did here just for the stats. It's a normal thing now. We all know that, how to do automations. You can look at the automations for... This is it. So... All right, so that is that on that. I believe you guys got one or two stuff. Um, and I believe you guys were inspired. You know, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. You just have to go to um for a good synth lead, synth patch. MKS is not bad. MKS is not bad. Synth lead, if you're talking about synth lead, then for now, Omnisphere. But with Omnisphere, Omnisphere is a beast. Like if you can really take your time and sit down and create your own stuff with Omnisphere, bro. Omnisphere is crazy. Me self, I never just get time. I never get time. I mean, just the lazy. I need to really sit down and create bloody patches out of that thing. Omnisphere is a beast. Yeah. So that is that on that. So I'm gonna play this one more time and I'm gonna be out. Thanks for coming to the stream.